Kelvin, let's get started. Yeah. So first question, right, was just for like the one or two people who don't know who are you, right? Kelvin, can you just do a very quick introduction of yourself before we get on to the meat of the interview, which I'm so excited for this afternoon.
All right, guys. So those of you who are tuning in, my name is Kelvin. So what I do is that I'm a full-time investor. I've been investing for more than almost a decade right now. And today I run a community of investors. And what we focus a lot is quite different from other people. We don't do value investing. We don't do any kind of investing. We are solely focused on growth investing. So some of the companies that you may know of, like Sea Limited, CrowdStrike, those are companies that we like and we identify ourselves closely with that. And I think that if you consider ourselves as investors who invest in this thing called super stock, so we are aiming for about like 30 to 40% returns, and we try to work with the best minds around Singapore, and I think we have a great community that's thriving. And over here, I hope to share with you as much as I can from all my experiences, the painful lessons, the good lessons. I'm here to review it all, right? So I feel I'm ready to be naked.
Wow.
Just joking.
Yeah, so if you don't know Kelvin's story, right, I did another interview on my YouTube channel. Check it out, right? Today, right, we're going to go straight to the meat, right? And I like to call, right, the folks at Gym, right, Kelvin, Jonathan, right, some other folks like BB and John, right, my secret weapons, right, when it comes to investing, because they built such a strong community, right? They went deep dive. They actually interview the CEOs. They have like first-hand communication with them, right? So I really enjoy what they have. I really appreciate what they do, and it's so valuable. So with that, Kelvin, we're going to go to the first quick question, right? And we're going to go straight to the meat. Yeah, like I said, suck it dry a little bit. So right now, right, the market is a little bit volatile, right? Or what I say, maybe uncertain, right? Whether it's in the crypto markets, the growth, the stock markets, right? So I'm just very curious, right? I'm going to go straight to it. Like, what are some of your personal routines, right? Or your personal habits right now, right? That you actually use for the past couple of years, or you've been using for quite a while, right? To stay grounded and convicted, right? During this time of market situations where it's a little bit uncertain, people don't know what's going on. What are some routines and habits you actually do yourself, or you advise someone to do during this period of time?
Guys, so this is what I mean. Mark asked really good questions, putting me at a spot, but I'm really here to really want to share with you guys as much as I can. So the question is, how do we actually navigate volatility, right? You see, Mark, and for those of you who are actually attending, what do y'all think about volatility? When you think about volatility, what's one word that actually comes to your mind? Type it in the chat box, all right? So for me, volatility is actually an opportunity, okay? And let me just talk about this, right? People who actually understands about investing, this will be an opportunity for them. And for those who don't, it's going to be a disaster for them, all right? So I want to say that the most important habit that an investor needs to have is actually conviction in what you are doing, right? Sometimes why certain stocks drop 20%, why people would buy more, and why would some people actually sell, right? It's one word, right, Mark? It's just conviction. You see, I do know that a lot of people that could have been millionaires, but they are not, because they have sold their stocks once they drop, once they make about 20 to 30%. And there are some people, could have turned their portfolio around if they just, hang on with their shares. So just think about it. In last year, COVID period, 2020, the market tanked really badly. A lot of people actually sold their stocks, whereas there's a special group of people who actually averaged down significantly, such that their portfolio was up 100%, even 200%. So I wouldn't say that, you got to really define things differently, right? And how do you define things differently? Is by understanding what you're investing in and why you're actually investing in those companies. And I also want to say this, right? One common thing that I noticed among investors is that they have this need to be validated, right? That means whatever they invest, they want to make sure that everyone is actually doing the same thing as them. So if everyone is selling, if I'm holding the stock, I'm going to look stupid. I also want to sell. If I sell and I follow them, I don't look stupid, right? But where is this? What's the problem with this mentality? Is that most people out there in the stock market, they are clueless. They're like headless chicken. So sometimes you got to have your own independent mindset. When you think about investing, you got to know what you own. You got to develop conviction, and sometimes you just got to, screw what people is thinking. If you think that this company is undervalued, you think it's a great opportunity, heck what people is thinking about. Just do what you do, and eventually, I think you actually become better as an investor. So sometimes investing is not like I think investing is like a team sport where you can get ideas from everyone, but when it comes to your own decision, your own portfolio, you need to own it. You need to realize that if this is the, you look at this company, you think it's good. If your facts are right, then go with it, right? Don't because of Mark says it's a good company, Kelvin says it's a good company, then you go and buy it. And the moment Mark says it's a bad company, Kelvin says it's a bad company, you don't know what the heck is happening, you just sell the company, right? If you are like that, right, you're just like a piece of wood that's floating around the ocean. You have no direction, you do not know where you're heading. And if you're like that right now, and you continue being like that, I think for the next 5 to 6 years, you're not going to get anywhere with your investment results. But you need to have a direction. You need to know where you're going. You need to know what's a good company. You need to know what's a bad company. And you need to sometimes be willing to stand alone, because it takes time for things to achieve pan out, right? So that's what I want to share with you, Mark. And I just want to say 2 things. Number 1, you need to develop conviction. And second, sometimes you don't need to be validated by everyone. You only need to be validated by yourself, and understand that if you have the facts correct, then trust in your facts and reasoning, right? You don't have to follow the crowd at all. Sometimes the crowd can be totally wrong, and the crowd can be clueless. And just want to add on a little bit more. A lot of us spend a lot of time reading the news, the economic development, stuff like that. But I want to challenge this, all right? How much does the news actually impact the company they are investing in? Sometimes there's no very little impact. And also, what's the track record of these people who actually on the media who tell you, oh, the market is going to correct, stuff like that. The truth is that they are news anchors. They are not investors. Do they have a track record? Have they made like 50%, 30% in the stock market? The answer is no. Then why should you listen to them? You only need to listen to people who have been performing consistently in the stock market. And I'll add on one last thing. I think one of the routines and habits for investors that have thrived really well during this period is that they look for mentors that have demonstrated consistent results and they have a track record, and they refuse to listen to people who have no track record, because speaking is easy, showing results is difficult. And all of us, we don't want to have information overload. So you've got to narrow down to who are the ones that you really want to listen to. All right, so that's my answer.
Wow, I think firstly, right, I love the fact that you grounded first on the mindset, right? The fact that you got to have conviction, right? And the thing is, right, conviction is not just you having borrowed conviction from everybody else and not having your own thought. So really developing your own investment thesis, your own investment thought, right, to get there. How do you accelerate the process? Number 1, right? I think one thing to watch out for is really to not listen to people, right, who just talk a lot, but they don't actually have the ground result. So you talk about like actual process, right? One thing is what not to do instead of just what to do. And one thing not to do, right, is really just to filter out the noise, right? Not just listen to everybody else. I think number 3, like I said, getting a mentor to accelerate the process, right, to get there. I think that's great. So I guess, right, just to go a little bit deeper, right, for Kevin, like if I'm starting on like looking at the market or just looking at my portfolio, let's say I'm doing a weekly review, right, or a monthly review, for example, right, what are some things you actually look out for, right, to actually say, hey, to actually test, right, your conviction of your portfolio, right, and the companies you're holding? I'm just curious, like, what do you have a list of questions, a list of checklists, like what are some things that you actually recommend some folks to actually use and apply for themselves, right, to actually stay grounded, right, with their portfolio and their overall outlook for the market?
Yeah, so I kind of want to rephrase the question a little bit, right? I think those are really good questions, but I just think about how can someone perform well in the stock market, right? Because at the end of the day, when we look at our portfolio, if you're holding on to mediocre companies, then you're just going to feel sad, because 1 year will go by and you wonder, hey, how come people make 30%? How come you only make like 10%, right? So I think when I look at companies, right, I actually look at things very differently, because a lot of people think that companies are like Excel files, Excel sheets, right? You try to do a lot of modeling and you think that's going to get you somewhere. Actually, I think that a business is really more than that, right? This is made of people, and understanding people is really important. And today, when I invest in any company, right, I want to invest in visionaries. You look at Steve Jobs, right? He created the first touch phone. You look at Tesla. He did not create electric cars, but he pushed forward and made it a mainstream vehicle, right? You look at Jeff Bezos. He didn't invent e-commerce, but he made e-commerce mainstream again. So when I look at all these amazing companies, I draw one common realization, is that they are all visionaries. They want to change the world. And they want to make the world a better place for people by creating valuable products and services. So when I ask myself today, right, and I want to ask all the audiences that we have right now, right, I think on Instagram we have like 60 plus, Zoom as well, Facebook Live. When you make your money, right, is your money hard earned? All right, this is such a simple question that you guys should either reply yes or no. Okay. I think most of you will reply yes. So I'm just going to see who's going to type yes as well. Okay. So if you agree with me that your money is hard earned, then wouldn't it make sense for you to invest your money into the highest, the best opportunities out there? And when I term as best opportunities, that means investing in companies that are managed by visionaries, invest in companies that have high revenue growth rate. Life is too short for you to invest in companies that have no growth. Okay, look at where Starhub is heading, Singtel is heading, Singapore Press Holdings is heading. I'm a Singaporean, but I don't mean to hate on Singapore companies. But the fact is that our addressable market is just really, really small. Then how are they gonna do well, right? So the thing is, if your money is hard earned, then you want to allocate your money to the highest, the best opportunities out there. And the best opportunities out there, it just happened that all of them is residing in United States. That's where you have a lot of great companies that's growing more than 50-60% growth rate. So when I look at the companies that are investing today, there are only two things that I care about. Number one, there are so many factors that we want to analyze in a company, and it kind of gets a bit like information overload. But if you want to drill down to one essence of what makes the share price go up, is the earnings, right? So stocks follow earnings, right? And I want all of you to type it in the chat box. Stocks follow earnings. So when I review my portfolio, I want to ask myself, are the companies reporting insane earnings growth? Either earnings growth or revenue growth. Because as they grow, it means the business is going to be more valuable. And if they don't grow, then why am I putting my money into the company, right? In the world, in Singapore, we have 850 companies, but we can only invest in 5. There's only 5 or 4 good companies only, right? So we got to narrow down, set very high benchmark for ourselves, and then invest in those companies. So the first one, stocks follow earnings, and second, all right, is to pay for lesser than what it is worth, right? So as long as you follow these two things and you kind of review your portfolio and ask yourself this question, is the company still going to grow, right? Are they going to grow for the next 5 years, 6 years? Are you very certain about it? You must have a very high level of certainty. And second, when I look at my portfolio, I ask myself, are there any stocks that are overvalued, right? So if they're overvalued by 10 to 10%, generally I'm fine with that. But if they're overvalued by 80%, 60%, then that's going to be something that kind of rings an alarm bell to me, and I would like to sell it. So I just want to share that investing does not have to be very difficult. Some of you, when you come in, you may have the concept, the idea that investing is difficult. But for me, after investing for 8 to 10 years, I realized that investing is very, right? Once you realize that there's only a few things you need to focus on, and then eventually your life is going to be easier. So the goal for you as an investor is to make your life easier. And how do you make your life easier? By focusing on things that truly matter and discard the things that don't matter, such as market noise, analysis, and all the kind of mumbo jumbo they are reading. Honestly, I can tell you, I was trained in business school. I completed my business studies as well. But the things I learned in school, sometimes it's not practical at all. So it's just theory, but the real world, things work differently. So follow earnings and pay for lesser than what it is worth, right? That's two things.
Wow, and it's this deep stuff, man. I think number one thing I love, right, that you mentioned, which is saying like invest in visionaries, right? Because I said life is too short, right? Something might want to grow stable, but I really love the fact that we actually find people who are visionary, who want to innovate, who want to grow. Because right now, I think in today's world, right, you cannot afford to be stable. You try to be stable right now, right? You're probably going to stay stagnant and stuck, right? I think next time I also say, right, with potential for high revenue and high earnings growth rate, right? Making sure there's a total addressable market, making sure there's solutions able to scale, right, to grow, right, and looking at that when you look at your research reports, right, the news, right, finding out whether do they have the ability to scale and grow both their earnings, right, when it's the right time for them, and the revenue as well. And then lastly, like what you say, right, making sure that you know the valuation, the numbers, right, so they're paying for less than it's actually worth, right. So it's not so much of just trying to buy, right, great companies, but making sure that it comes at a time, right, and then once you do the research, the preparation, right, that's when you can execute and do it. Like one quick example, right, I always say about James, I love you guys. A big example was last year, I think during the COVID crisis, right, there's a stock that a lot of us were talking about. It was about $40, $50, right, went all the way to like $10, right, and then right now, hey, it's like 70, $80, right, and if people wouldn't have gone through, people would have been able to stick to their holdings, right, if this first did not develop conviction, right, so something that I really love. So quick question, right, about the part of visionary, right, because I'm somebody who loves reading about visionary entrepreneurs, right, companies, right. Is it okay we just go like a little bit deeper, right, we take like some traits, right, of what you look out for, what we could say a visionary, because some people can speak a lot, right, but they might seem visionary, but they don't actually back their words with actions. And number two, right, is, so what happens if like the CEO or the chairman, the visionary leader, right, switches, right, or takes another role, right? How do you actually evaluate it? I'm just curious about your thoughts about looking at these visionary leaders, and when do you think it might be a chance or might be a time to actually say, oh, maybe this is not something I'm looking at right now?
Yeah, so those are excellent questions. And guys, you see, today, as I started my investing journey almost 9 years ago, most brokerages and most investors just focus on one thing, which is the numbers of the companies. But I want to share with you that the numbers is always the after effect, right? But what's the cost? The cost is that you must have a great management, right? Great management with good strategy, create great products, and then the products will earn very high gross profit margin, will earn very high net profit margin. So this question is really a wonderful question. What are the traits of great management? See, I think today most businesses that tend to fail is because they don't do market research. They don't ask customers what they want, and they are not close to their customers. So one of the reasons why Jeff Bezos has succeeded so well, I want you guys make a guess. Why did Jeff Bezos succeed really well? Or rather, why did Amazon succeeded really well? Just type in the chat box, all right? Just let us know. And I want to say that even for companies like Tesla, even for companies like Apple, they have one common thing that I think most people don't realize, is that they have crazy fans. All right, crazy fans. And how do you create crazy fans? It is by giving customers what they want. So what I felt about great management teams is that they are very obsessed with their customers. They are always in touch with them, and they even go to such extent to conduct focus groups. And when customers give them good feedback, they give them rewards, right? If you share feedback with me, maybe I can give you like a AirPods, right? They will never shy away from rewarding customers, and they always embrace a culture where the customers can talk to them anytime. So at the point of time, right, if you think about it, if you're creating a product and you realize that, hey, wow, the customers input, oh, so you think you create a good product and then you sell and no one want to buy, because customers don't want the product, right? And that's going to be a big failure point, right? So I feel that one of the common thing that a lot of visionaries create is that they try to change things differently, and they try to envision a better world, and they incorporate a lot of customers' feedback into what they do. And I think sometimes when it comes to management that are visionaries, I can say that most often, the world actually tends to misunderstand them a lot. When Apple came out with their iPhone, Nokia was laughing at them. When Tesla was creating Tesla, right? Ford, GM was laughing at them. And a lot of people say that Amazon would fail. So today, I love to buy into companies that are doing things that are very, very different. See, today, if you are doing something the same, then I can tell you, you're going to just fight in the red ocean, right? So I like to buy into companies that are inventing new products altogether, right? Fight in the blue ocean. I think that's a lot better. So what I talk about is customer obsession and always reinventing the wheel or creating new things. And I think thirdly, right, most people don't talk about this a lot, but I would say I would focus a lot on execution, right? You talk about dreams, you talk about ideas, but come on, where's the product, right? So when I look at a business, I would always look at a press release, and I say that in this quarter, what have you achieved, right? I share with you one of the top companies in my portfolio, C Group. In one quarter alone, they got number one market share in I believe app downloads in Brazil and Mexico. They have actually bought a bank in Indonesia, trying to expand their sea money into Indonesia. They hired tons of people. So what I'm saying is that in a quarter, a good management team is able to execute very well, going to bring everyone together and achieve a lot of things. Whereas some management teams, one whole year, you ask them what have they done? Oh, they can't say anything, right? So sometimes I look at a press release and I look at the corporate developments, right? And I think C is actually a fast-growing company. You can see a lot of things is pushing out every single day. Whereas some companies, you invest in them, and you ask the management team, so what's your growth plans for this year? They say, let's see where the economy takes me. But I want to say this, right? If a CEO says that, right, that means the CEO is practically useless, right? Why are we paying him so much money to just float around the ocean? No, we must buy a steamroller that no matter what, the economy can be better. you fight against it and you become number one champion, right? That's really what I think about it, right? So good execution skill sets, relentless customer obsession, and creating new products that maybe we may not have seen it in the world, all right? And then your second question, how do we evaluate management teams that get swapped, right? I would say that sometimes there could be various reasons. Okay, there could be various reasons, but I think at the end of the day, what we can really see from a management team is if they have sold their shares, right? It's okay if a CEO moves to an executive chairman position. It is okay if they maybe move to a different role. I think it's okay with that. But if they leave the company and they are a founder, I think it's a bit fishy, because if this is what you believe to be the biggest opportunity in your life, to actually build great products, and you decide to leave, it means that you may not have believed in the business any longer, right? And sometimes, in some of the friends that I have in US, they actually hire private investigators to follow the CEOs. Sometimes they start to womanize. Sometimes they start to be distracted. They start to go to more casinos. They start to buy expensive properties here and there. So in a way, we call these people like they have checked out of the business already. Like hotel, you check out already. They're no longer involved already. But I think there's nothing that's more telling, and this is the important part that I think all of you need to write it down. If the management switch roles, right, and you start to see that immediately after that, 1 week or 2 weeks before that, after that, they started to sell a lot of shares, I can tell you that the game over already. That means they practically don't believe in the business anymore already. And you see, these are the insiders that they know the business inside out, and they are selling so much of the shares. What does it mean to you, right? Type in the chat box, right? What does it mean? It's very simple. It just means that the prospects of the business is no longer compelling, that they decide to leave the company, and immediately they are just selling their shares. That means they no longer believe in the business. And what more than us as retail shareholders that may not know the business thoroughly, if a CEO is selling, and then are we going to just sit down there? No, right? We're going to think that this is going to be a red flag. It's going to trigger us a little bit to think, what are the reasons, right? So I can tell you that's really something I see a lot. Yeah.
Wow, and something that drawn my mind. Okay, obviously a quick recap, right? Firstly, we talk about like customer obsession, right? How many crazy fans they have getting at the customer testimonials, their pages, the comments, right? For example, right, I'm just going to create an example. When I look at Singtel's comments on the Facebook page, right, obviously most of the comments are negative. When I go to like Circle's Live, for example, most of them, right, either positive or they are almost like immediately addressed, right? And then it gets ratified, right? So even that itself, going down deep to find out what are the customers' responses, right? How much of crazy fans they have, right? It's a very good example, right? I think you also talk a little bit about execution, right? What are they bringing out? What are they pushing out? You also look about some stuff like looking at downloads and the numbers, right? What are the activities being, right? And then of course their product and their market, right? Is it in innovative spaces, right? That people might not know, right? Or people might still be in a very new space, right? Because those are big potential to do so. I love the fact that you said that, hey, right? If they switch on Ronaldo and they start selling their shares, that's a huge red flag, right? If you found out that they have been distracted, right? Like I said, womanizing, going casino, right? I have no idea that was the depth of what you some of us folks, right, tend to look at, right? That's another huge red flag as well. And one thing that struck me, right, was that so the average viewer, if they hear you, right, my sense is they're like, wow, you must be so strict, right, in terms of looking at your people, right? But one thing I think you told us since the start of the program, right, for the people who go to boot camp is that, right, you are not supposed to be a nice guy when you're supposed to be evaluating companies that actually are managing your money. You're supposed to have high levels of excellence, high levels of standard, right? And that's how you get to where you want to be in terms of your growth, right? So I think that's a huge takeaway for me there. Like, guys, let me know in the comments if there's something that you liked as well, right? It's really about having high standards and not giving like chance or being lenient about it, because this is your money that they are talking about. I just love that perspective, man.
Yeah, and just to add on, right, and I can say that your life is easier if you're stricter with yourself, right, and with how you allocate your money, right? See, you want to say, okay, let's say we use a simple metric that we evaluate company return on equity, right? More than 15%. Well, I want to say in Singapore we have 850 companies. You apply a return on equity of 15%, I think you're left with 100 companies, right? Then you want to find companies that grow by revenue by 20%. Okay, you're left with 20 companies. That makes your life easier, right? Then why are you gonna, if the company fail the criteria, then you're gonna spend your time analyzing those companies? Are you kidding me, right? And I'm pretty sure that your time is important, my time is important. Then we gotta be strict to ourselves. And sometimes you realize, oh wow, if I'm so strict to myself, then I'm left with 5 to 6 companies or maybe 20 companies. Wow, then my life is gonna be so boring. Guys, let's be real here. Investing is to make money, right? It's not to be exciting, right? You can have a lot of excitement outside, but when it comes to investing, you just want to make a lot of money, a lot of money, right? So you got to be strict with yourself and understand that investing is boring, right? Got the criteria, apply the criteria, and do it. And I can tell you why some people don't get results, because they confuse the stock market. Instead of trying to make money, they're just trying to have fun, right? So if you want to play your money in the stock market, just invest in any company without having a criteria. Go ahead. But if you want to make serious money, then you got to learn the frameworks and then apply it. And it's just, I think it's simple, but sometimes it's so simple that, I tell you, most people get very skeptical, like, are you sure? Yeah, humans just like to make things complicated. And the more complicated it is, wow, they feel like, wow, this is great, man. Like, this strategy is gonna make me a lot of money. But it's not true. I realized like Buffett have always kept the simple principles, and this is the reason why they have made so much money over the years. He did not try to do complex strategies. In fact, people have done complex strategy, they blow out their accounts, and today where they are, I do not know where they are. They are either somewhere, but they no longer have that portfolio that they used to have because they play with their portfolio. I think that's a very dangerous move.
Yeah, I think really to sum it is what I call strict and simple standards, right? So yes, you strict, but don't overcomplicate it. So strict and simple standards have a few key criteria, and that's evaluate based on that, and then that's how you evaluate and make your investment decision. So I just love that. So I guess next question I'm going on, because we're going to leave some time for Q&A from the audience as well, right? So and I think you mentioned this term, right? It's something I've mentioned for a long time, right? Information overload, right? So there's just so many things that you can read, right? They can study, right? When it comes to analyzing, right, stocks or sectors and stuff, right? So at least for yourself, right, Kevin, what are some key areas? I know you mentioned a couple, right, like customers, right, and stuff, but at least in terms of both sectors and maybe a little bit of companies to add on if you could, right? What are some of the key major things that you actually look at, right, before you decide to say, okay, I think this is worth a company looking at. Hey, I think this is worth sector for me to go deeper, because there's just so many things out there, right? How do you actually filter out some of this in the initial phase?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So I'm just gonna do like a simple like question, right? So Mark, let's say I'll give you a question, right? Would you buy into a company that sells, let's say, calculators?
Now and probably not.
Okay, then would you want to buy in a company that sells like golf equipment?
Okay lah, golf.
Okay. But let's say if I throw you another idea, right? Let's say would you want to buy a company like a social media company like Facebook, or do you want to buy a golf company? Which one?
Definitely social media, man. It's growing, and yeah.
Yeah, so that's really what I'm saying of like one of the things that I look at, right, is actually a total addressable market, right? In short, right, it's called TAM, right? Guys can type in the chat box TAM, right? So come on, think about it, like what's the percentage of the world who actually play golf? I don't think all of us got so much time to play golf as well. And how many and do we, yeah, I think that's not the case. So think about it, if I buy into the golf company, do you think I can make like 5 times, 6 times, 10 times my money buying a golf company? I'll be kidding to myself. Maybe I'm dreaming, But I think of a business that can actually uses technology to reach out to a very huge addressable market. So I want to challenge this thought, right? I'll use this example, then I'll relate to another example later on. Facebook, right? Anyone that has a mobile phone, anyone that has a data plan, they confirm will download Facebook, right? It's such that, right, Facebook is such a social utility that it touches anyone, right? Any consumer, any individual that's on the surface of this earth, when they got phone, they got data plan, they will become a Facebook user, right? So the addressable market is so wide, it covers the entire globe, maybe excluding China, okay? But it's really, really big. So think about it, right? Am I going to buy a company and hold it for 2 years and I realize, okay, the growth has saturated. Okay, shit, I'm going to sell this company, I'm going to buy another company. No, that's not going to be a very efficient investing strategy, right? You look at Buffett, you see how he had made his wealth. There's this very famous company he bought called Geico. Sis Candy have held it for years, made a lot of money, right? And I think that's a more simple approach, right? You find a company that operates in the big addressable market that's growing really, really well, and you stand to benefit from a very long runway, as compared to maybe if I buy Starhub, Singtel, and where's the runway? The runway disappeared already, because there's a lot of competitors coming in. So the way I look at it is that, number one, the runway must be big, and that relates to actually the total addressable market. And I think the beautiful thing is this, right? If the industry is growing by 20, 30%, or even 40% in a year, even if the management sucks, let's say the worst case, the management sucks, right? Do you guys believe that the business would at least grow by 10, 20%? All right, if the industry growing by 40, 50%, the business, right, If the management sucks, will it still grow by 10 to 20%? Just type yes in the chat box, right? Okay, just type yes in the chat box. So see, when you think about it and you frame it in a way like that, I think your investing journey will be a lot easier. And I think there's far too many people who also try to invest in things that they don't understand. Maybe like biotechnology companies, these are the things I avoid. I avoid cyclical companies. So what I look at, right, is this thing called secular growth, right? SECULAR, secular growth. So what I mean by secular growth, if you look at cloud computing, right, I think cloud computing is just less than 10% of the global enterprise IT spending, right? Less than 10%. The runway is huge. Look at e-commerce. I mean, in Singapore, in some of the parts of the world, it's less than 20% penetrated, right? And then you look at a lot of things like electric cars as well. So I want to look at very promising industries that is growing really, really well. Yeah. And I would like to choose the best company that's operating in that space alone. So you see, Mark, like the way how I invest is making myself very, very safe in a way that I'm choosing the best operator. But in the case that I get unlucky or my analysis is wrong, I buy the worst operator, but I'm still guaranteed a 20% growth in terms of revenue because the industry is just growing that quickly. So you want to put yourself in a position that your margin of safety is really, really high. You know, like you don't have to think so much, but intuitively, right, you will know that this business will grow. Like having just that certainty and assurance is really important. And that's why we go back to what we said earlier, having a framework is so important, and that really makes your journey a lot easier. Investing does not have to be difficult, and I don't believe that investing is difficult. Maybe initially when I was lost, right, I took so much time to kind of learn investing, and I realized that what most people, I was learning from people who don't have results. But when I actually learn from people who have great results, I realized that investing can be simple. So once again, I just want to say, learn from people who have actually demonstrated results and actually competency in what they do. And in the field of investing, unfortunately, right, there are a lot of people on the internet, on YouTube, you know, there are a lot of people who claim that they know something about investing, and they tell people to buy and sell. But I think you got to really look at a track record and evaluate them properly.
Wow, okay. So I think two key things I will talk about, right? And like I said, it sounds simple, right? But when people overcomplicate it, that's when people struggle. Right, two things. Right? Number one, what's the total addressable market? What's the potential size of the big market, right? When you launch, and number two, right, is how much of a growth they can still have, right? Like and look at the market penetration rate, right? So if the companies actually meet these two criteria, right, typically yes, they're good companies. But what happens? People overcomplicate, right? They start looking at cyclical companies like semiconductors, right, where they keep looking at the market, right, is always being affected by outside forces that's not within their control, right? And small, like I said, telecoms, right, is something that's not very big right now because why? Right, people are moving on to the 5G into the net, right? So I think those are jumps very simple, right? But when people don't follow it, that's when they struggle and they just invest in sectors that, right, might be a huge risk, right? Because they have just one or two players that benefit the space as compared to other big growing sectors that even okay, you choose a third, the fourth player, right? They can still grow pretty well, right? Moving forward. All right. So with that, right, I think it's my last. Oh yes, you want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to say that I think Mark is asking really good questions, but I know some of you are here because you have questions that you want to ask us. And I think it's more important, you know, not saying that Mark questions are not good. You know, I think it's really, really high quality. But I remember that in this room is Mark and I and all of you, right? We have 72 people who are watching. So if you have any question, take this opportunity because it's not common where you get Mark, you get me doing this together, sharing what we know on a Tuesday afternoon while you're having lunch. So I want you to take this opportunity to ask all of your questions, and Mark will actually allocate the time for your questions to be answered. All right. So Mark, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kelvin. So yeah, guys, as questions, put them down, right? I'm going to go through my last question, and then we're gonna have some good time for Q&A as well. So the last question, right, as we wait for some of the questions from the audience, right, Kelvin, is there's just so much information right now, right? There's so much information right now in the space, right? So I think personally, right, could you share just a little bit, right, about what are some of the key resources, right? What are some of the key things that you typically look out for, right? Or you focus on prioritizing for filter out all this noise, right? So that you don't get caught up if everything is out there. So what are the kind of key resources, right? Or the key articles, key websites you can share, right? To really just look through, like, these are the most important information I look at before I analyze a new company or new sector, right? At least, what are some of your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so I think that's another excellent question. I'm giving some thought to it, and I realized that, you know, today in the internet world, like all of us, we are really smart. Like we know where to get the information from. Google is really very smart, and Google is a great company, by the way. Yeah, but how do you actually filter information, right? That's really the essence of the question here. So the way I look at it is that as I observe a lot of people around me and as I coach people, I realized one common thing is that they always have this fear of missing out. All right. So I give you a context, right? Let's say if I'm analyzing a company A, okay, then maybe Mark say, okay, company B very exciting. Then I go study company B. And later on, 2 days later, oh, Kelvin say company C very interesting. You go and study company C. You see, if you are always running around chasing the next company, the hot stock, then you never get into a space where you can really understand the companies that you're analyzing right now. So give you another analogy. You are doing a track and field, right? You're running, right? You're running on your lane. If you're always running in your lane and you're always looking at what people are doing left and right, are you going to be a number one player? No. But a number one player, a number one runner is always knowing where is your destiny and running towards it, right? And with very focused determination. So what I want to say is something really important, and you guys really, I think, got to write it down, right? You have to slow down. You really have to slow down to go fast. And I share this to a lot of people that I coach. I say that, in this quarter, ask yourself, what is the weakest aspect of your investing journey? Is it valuation you're weak at? Is it knowing how to screen for good companies that you're weak at? What is it about that you're weak at? And can you say that in this quarter alone, you do nothing but focus on the things that you're weak at? So if let's say I'm weak at valuation, then I will take these 3 months to just focus on valuation and make sure I become a master at it. And in the interim, I might lose out on some good companies here and there. But guys, you should never underestimate the power of a single focused mind as compared to multitasking. So you may lose 3 months, but what you gain at the end of the day is that you understand valuation so well that when opportunities happen, you're going to catch it. You can see it because your mind connects the dots very quickly. But today you're just gathering every little thing. You don't know how to connect the dots, then you're not going to go anywhere. So I also highly advocate people, right? If you like this company, you think that this company has really great prospects, then you have to zone out yourself already. That means what I mean. Whatever people are telling you, oh, this company is good, this company is good. Don't care. Focus on the company you're analyzing. Only when you complete the whole process, then you move on to another company. Otherwise, you have a lot of uncompleted tasks in your mind and you can never connect the dots. So which is why I always believe that, and I share this from my personal experience, right? When I told myself that, oh, I was weak at certain areas, I got to slow down and just focus on all those areas, and then I can move fast, right? It's just like the turtle and the rabbit, right? Rabbit was thinking that he's moving very fast, but at the end of the day, the turtle was very slow, very steady, knew what he was doing. Eventually, he won the race. So in this world where people always mistake fast for progress, I would say go slow, create real progress in your journey, and that's how you can see real tangible results. And I think it's going to be quite hard to do, right? Like it's so easy to say, but it's quite hard to do. But you got to believe in the process, trust in the process, because that is what my mentors told me, and that's how I actually did it for myself, and that's how I became, I wouldn't say a good investor, but I'm still learning, and I think that's how I actually gotten like really decent results in the stock market. So that's how I would frame this information overload, this noise thing. So at the end of the day, okay, guys, all of us are, when it comes to investing, you just need a minimum IQ. You're good enough already. But what I think most of us are lacking is the mindset. How are we approaching investing, right? We think that we run a lot, we are moving to we are making progress, but sometimes by running so much, you're running on the same spot, right? Like a treadmill, you're not moving anywhere. So you got to really think about yourself. Are you making progress today? So this question, you want to write it down. Like if you're serious about becoming an investor, become a good investor, you ask yourself, what are my goals for this quarter? Am I making progress towards those goals? If not, then stick with your goals until you have achieved it. And if you are not achieving it, then ask yourself, what are the resources you need? You need to speak to some investors, you need to learn something different. That's what you need to do, right? So very simple stuff, but it works. And sometimes it works so well that people don't believe in it. So I don't know, but I'm just sharing with you what works for me.
Yeah, because I think one thing that happened, right, that I think created a lot of investors who weren't as patient, right? I think because last year, obviously, we all knew the market, right, after the crash, it just went straight up. So I think a lot of people have been used, right, to that whole like getting results fast, and that's why a lot of them are struggling and feeling a bit bad right now. But it's not that the market is doing extremely bad, in my opinion, right? Just that people aren't used, right, to the fact that they aren't getting returns like last year, right? And because of the lack of patience, right, a lot of people are taking opportunities, taking trades that might actually work against their interest, right? So I think that's what's happening right now. So I think, and moving on to that, right, because I'm going to wait for some questions, right? And someone just DM'd me, right? And I think this is a bit relation with what we just mentioned, which is what do you feel, right, are the biggest mistakes that investors are making right now, right, during this time of market uncertainty and volatility, right? Because I think this investor is a little bit experienced, right? And he knows that he still has a lot of room to improvement, right? But he just wants to make sure, like, what are some mistakes that even experienced investors you see, right, might be making right now, even during this situation and point of time.
Yeah, there's something I try to think as well. But I can say that sometimes, Mark, like volatility actually creates a lot of panic, a lot of emotional instability even in seasoned investors. See, just want to share with you, C Limited, which is my biggest position. I believe there was a period, I think was 3 weeks ago, it fell by 20% from its all-time high. And 20% is a lot. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, were you going to drop even more? Then what's going to happen to my net worth? And then should I sell or what should I do, right? Then it took 2 weeks for the stock to drop 20%. Then it only took 1 week for the stock to go up by 20% back to its previous high. Right. So I feel that and I don't want to make it sound like I've mastered this because I'm still learning, but I think having experience helped me to train my muscle memory to know how to react wisely. I think that at the end of the day, the stock market is such that you see a lot of feedback loops very quickly. Today, if you buy a company, drops like 5%, you say that, oh shit, I made a wrong mistake. I'm gonna look stupid, right? I'm looking stupid right now because I bought a stock. It's supposed to be undervalued stock. It's supposed to go up by 10 times, 5 times. It dropped 4%. I'm looking stupid right now. See, most people think, yeah, but you see, for example, for a property, if you bought a property, because we don't even check the property prices, right? How many of you check your property prices every day? You don't. And even you're trying to check, you can't, right? Because there's no feedback loop. That's why you feel that as property is actually a very safe asset that it compounds over time, right? But if there's a property stock market, right, I tell you the property prices will just move up and down. So we are actually not accustomed, the mind is not accustomed to see such huge spikes, huge dips, and we tend to mistake all these ups and downs as a validation of the company. For example, if the company dropped by 20%, or you feel like, oh, the company is in a bad position, bad shape right now, I should sell the company. And this even happens to a very seasoned investors. So I think that sometimes we got to really understand that market is driven by a lot of sentiments, and sometimes sentiments can be a knee-jerk effect that tends to be a bit extreme. So I mean, in times like that, it's going to be even more important that we understand our company even better, right? I think volatility is always an opportunity for those who actually did the work for themselves. So I think the biggest mistakes, if I would like to say, is that we focus too much on the share price, because share price is readily available to us and it moves up and down every second, every minute, every hour, and that sometimes causes our mind to think very differently. In fact, when you see red, you see green, these are visual cues that actually trigger some thoughts in your head. So I think sometimes to avoid this mistake, just okay, if you want to be a bit extreme, just delay your app. Just delay your stock app, or just look at it on once a week basis or twice per week basis. I think that will do you more good. Instead, focus more on the developments of the company. Are they opening new stores? Are they expanding to new geographies? What are the news surrounding the industry? So I think sometimes when you pull away from share price and focus on the real developments of the company, that gives you a more accurate gauge about the business. And I just want to end with one thing here, right? I think in 2000, there was indeed a dot-com bubble. Some of you may be aware about it. Dot-com bubble, Yahoo, big stocks, Netscape, even Amazon have collapsed a lot, big time. But the truth is this, right? Despite the share price dropping severely, right? Jeff Bezos once said this: all our business metrics were up, our orders were up, our average order per value was up, our accounts were up, our order frequency per customer is up, everything is up. But the share price, sometimes can be a bit disjoint from reality. But I think market tends to self-correct itself quite intelligently. And I think if you let market currents affect you too much, you may make the wrong mistakes for yourself. So sometimes there was the advice given to me while being an investor: go get a hobby. All right, at night, instead of looking at the stock market, do a workout, do something else. All right, keep your mind off the stock market. It's always a great recipe for success.
Well, I think I like that because what happened, like I think, like, as for me, right, past 6 months I've been building up like master implementers, right, and I realized, okay, then I'm not as active in the market anymore. So even there are downs, right, I didn't know see drop 20% until after it happened, right. Like, you start being a bit more tuned out. Not saying that you don't care about the company, right, but you don't look at the stock prices every day because that affects your emotions for sure. Unless you know how to handle yourself, right, manage yourself, right, it means all the noise, right. It can be a very dangerous thing, especially for newer investors who might not be used, right, to this level of thing. I think one other thing you mentioned, right, which I love about the gym and what you, Jonathan, you share to the community, right, which is that you guys seem to celebrate more when the company is doing well, when the market, as compared when the stock prices are doing well. Well, yes, the stock price goes up, people are happy, right? But when you guys research, do like tune into the earnings calls, right? You guys check the results, right? You guys are more excited about it because that's when you can see whether it's the company doing well or not. So I think that reframe, right? Of course, it takes some time, right? Because people are still very conditioned to just look at the price, right? But when you start conditioning to look at the company's performance instead of the stock price, right, that's when you actually focus on the fundamentals, and that's why you win in the long term, man. So with
Exactly.
that, yeah. So I think there is a question. Let me say. So I think HEMQ, not sure the name, right? But ask, how will you approach the issue of little capital, right? So at least for yourself, I know you have a good story about that. I think in a bit of history before you invested, right? So share a little bit, like, what would you advise folks who might not have so much capital, right, to get started investing with?
Yeah. Great point, great point. So just want to share, right? If your portfolio is less than I think I have to be very real here. I don't want to share things that I don't believe. I want to share things that it's from my heart, that it's really what I think of. Okay, if you have a portfolio of 3K, 4K, 5K, I would suggest you not to invest at all. Why? Because if your portfolio, let's say in the case, let's say got 3K, for $3,000, if you make 20% returns on $3,000, that'd be $600 extra, right? While that seems good, but I would say that $600 can be earned by taking more like part-time jobs or starting a small business, whatever it is. Can you earn that $600? It's usually much easier, right? So when your capital is small, I feel that more importantly, is to focus on your active income. So later on, I'll come to the active income later on. But then that doesn't mean that you should not invest. You should still invest, all right? Because you want to learn the ropes, you want to build your capital. But once your portfolio hit 10K, 20K, 30K and above, all right, let's say you make like 100% return on $30,000 portfolio. All right, that's additional $30,000. But can you make additional $30,000 by taking part-time jobs here and there? Maybe can, but maybe cannot, right? But what I'm saying is that as your portfolio grows bigger, your focus has to shift more towards investing. But when portfolio is small, focus on finding active income. I'll give you an example today, right? I like to brainstorm all these ideas, and I like to share with all of you guys. So a friend of mine actually bought a claw machine. All right. He actually bought a claw machine, and I tell you the biggest problem, right? A lot of claw machines today, right? The toys that they put in are toys that kids don't want, right? You do your market research, you know what kids you want to know what kids want, right? And then you can actually code and program the claw machines such that in a way, kids actually love the, give me a while. Yeah, kids actually love the products, right? So the claw machine is such that the toys, you can actually do a collaboration. What if you go to a condo or you go to a place and you say that, whatever I earn, can I put my claw machine over here? Whatever I earn, I'll share with you 30% of it, right? Who doesn't want, right? Condominium, right? Wouldn't want to earn more money? They surely want to earn more money, right? And then you go find those high-rise condominiums. I think put in the the lobby area. I think it's possible. For me, what I did when I was young, I was from San Gabriel, so I knew that when I went out, my friends, they were all wearing branded clothing, and I realized that, okay, wow, seems like this is a trend that a lot of kids at this age wants to buy branded clothing. So what I did was I went to Orchard Road, I took down all the prices of all the clothing, and I realized that, oh, okay, Armani t-shirt is selling about $90. And I said that, okay, can I go to the USA website, and I say, okay, US is selling about 40 plus, I convert, it's about like 60, thereabouts, 65, thereabouts. And can I sell at a lower price compared to a retail store? Because retail store have to pay for rental, have to pay for stuff, right? I'm a solo man, right? And I did that for about 3-4 months, and I earned about, I would say, $23,000 thereabouts. And that's how I built my capital really quickly. And also, what about drop shipping as well, right? You can buy stuff from Alibaba and sell it on Amazon. So I feel like there's a lot of ways you can make money. Tuition, teaching swimming lessons. Let's say today you are a very good a teacher, right? You want to find ways that can scale your income very well. What if you write an ebook, how to ace your mathematics, right? And then you sell it for like $5, $6, right? Sell it cheap, but have a wide reach, and then work with tuition centers to sell the ebook, right? And say that, okay, if you sell it, what if you take 50%, I take 50%. So think of a win-win situation where people would love to promote your products without hesitation, right? So there are many ways to make money. And I think that making money is a skill set that all of us need to learn, because unfortunately in life, a lot of things is we just have to spend money. So you got to be good at it. And the thing is that once you start to be good at it, you start to see money making opportunities that people don't see. And you realize that making money will be a lot easier in the future. In the beginning, maybe a bit hard, but once you really mastered it, then money is no longer an issue. And I think that even in the future, you focus on your portfolio, but you also still have very strong active income. I think that will go in a very, very long way. Yeah.
Wow, and it's inspiring, man. Like a lot of people say that it's hard to make money and stuff, right? But you take something that people like, right? You work towards it, right? And that's how you grew your initial board of income, right? I think an inspiring story of where people can get started, right? Some hustle, getting the hustle, right? Getting the grind, right? To build up that first wave of income, right? And then you invest it, compound it way more in the future, right? So thanks so much for sharing that story, Kelvin. And that's something that's also why I was excited for that, for the folk to ask the question. Because I think that's something that's inspiring for a lot of people to know that, hey, even if they have enough income right now, you can actually do stuff to actually grow it over time. So with that, right, we have a couple of minutes left, Kelvin, right? Any last final words, right? You want to share these folks? So right now, it's of this time, this interview is 8 June, right? Any just last words, right? To just end off this interview, right? Before we can see what is next, right? Anything you want to add on, Kelvin?
Yeah, I just want to actually go back to this story, which I think, Mark, you are very aware of, and this has such a deep meaning for me, right? Guys, so this is the thing that I need you guys to participate together with me, right? So imagine you have a group of fleas, right? Fleas are what, like insects, right? Could jump really high heights, right? You keep them in a glass jar, you seal it up for 3 weeks. Okay, let's not be too bad, not 3 weeks, about 3 days, all right? 3 days, 3 days, and then we remove the lid. All right, so when we kept them in 3 days, they were just trying to jump out of the glass jar, right? For 3 days, right? Now we remove the glass lid. Guys, do you think that those fleas are able to get out of the glass lid, right? Just type in the chat, right? Yes or no, right? Just type yes or no. And this represents all of us. The fleas represent all of us. As we were young, people say, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be a doctor, engineer, just go ahead, go and do it, right? But as we grow up, unfortunately, we have seen some failures. There are things that we didn't, there were things that we will not be able to achieve. And slowly, all of us start to dream a bit smaller, right? The light in your heart starts to become dimmer. And that's really sad. And when I knew about the story, I realized that I got to change my mindset, So today I will say this, right? A lot of people in my life say that, oh, Kelvin, you're from poly, you're not going to get you can't get a government scholarship. Kelvin, you're young, you're not going to be a good investor. Kelvin, you say you want to get 50%, 60% in the stock market. You're kidding me. But I can tell you, right? I never once thought what was impossible or what's possible. I just asked myself, right? If they tell me this, right, they are just telling me that this is their version of reality. It's not going to be my future, right? I'm going to own my story. I'm going to own my chapter. This life that I have, I'm going to write the story for myself. I'm not going to believe in anyone else. So I just think, okay, there's nothing that's impossible. I just think of what's possible first and do and try. And even if you don't succeed, at least I tend to dream. So sometimes, Mark, I'm a dreamer. I like to dream of things that are impossible. I like to take risks. This is why today I feel that for investors that have been performing really well in the stock market, like 50%, 60% upwards returns versus there's 10 or 20%, well, I can say that to a certain degree, it could be their framework, choosing companies. But on top of that, I think it's also the point where they start to not believe in themselves anymore. When you start to having 10%, 20%, you get a bit jaded, say, okay, that's where I am. I'm happy. You don't dream even bigger. Like for me, I like to dream, like I said, and I like to dream of a brighter future. I like to dream of a future where, all of you who are tuning in to this live could start to believe in yourself a little bit more, just a little bit more. You may not know, but your life could change a lot better. And I think it's this positive outlook that actually helped me to gain success, right? And really, what's the difference between people who are successful and not successful? It's the belief in themselves. So on a scale to 0 to 10, I would always ask people this question: how much do you believe in yourself? And I can tell you, to be honest, most people just rate themselves 4 to 5. And then if you're not your own cheerleader, who's going to cheer for you? Okay, cheering for yourself is free. You must believe in yourself, support yourself, right? Rate yourself 10. Okay, then you from there you start to grow even bigger, dream a bit bigger, and the light that you have in your heart, let it shine a bit brighter, right? So Mark, that's what I want to share with you and your audience.
Wow, hey, and right, like I think I heard you say this story like 3 years ago, right? And I was so freaking inspired. It was a full room, right? Tanjong Pagar, I was at the back of the room, right? And I heard it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna start using that story, which is what I've been sharing as well, right? But I usually shift, I say something different, which was about like if you were cricket, right? Whose jar do you want to be in, right? What's your environment like, right? If all the crickets around you think that you can't jump out, right? Hey, right, you're gonna be stuck, right? But so if I was cricket, I'll want to be in the same jar as you. I think that's that's what I say. All right. So with that, Kelvin, where can the folks find you? I know we have some things moving forward that they can find you if they want to find out more about you, what you do, what Jim does, right? Anything they can check you out your blog. You want to share a little bit about where they can find you next?
Yeah, sure. So I think I just enjoy giving a lot of value out to people, especially if you are learning how to invest, you do not know how to invest. I think there's a lot of resources on my blog. Go to the resources tab. That's called kelvin.com. And on a regular basis, my thoughts and my partner's business, Jonathan, thoughts are all in this Telegram group. So I will type it later on. It's t.me/growth investors. On top of that, I also want to share very openly is that I love to do the work that I do. I like to train investors who are committed. I like to train people who actually desires a better future for themselves. And I do that through a workshop, right? And I don't do it regularly. And really, I don't want to ask you guys to come, all right? But if you choose to come, that means it's only when you want to learn something, all right? I'm not here to beg you to come, because if you don't want to learn, I cannot force you to learn. And this is only something that you only want it for yourself, and then you come, all right? So I think the link I will pass to Mark, and Mark will actually share it on with all of you, all right? And I think that it's a joy for me to be doing this with you, Mark, and also speaking to your audience. And I think that at the end of the day, we really got to paint our own story in our lives and really surround ourselves with resources and surround ourselves with people who are doers, who are executors, right? Like yourself, and like I really love hanging out with you because I know that you are making progress and you are a positive influence. I think that's really simple in life, right? To progress ahead in life is to hang out with people who are progress together, and that's how we can get far together. And I think that no matter where you are, like all of you are listening from any backgrounds, right? Maybe right now you're struggling with certain things here and there, but as long as you believe yourself, give yourself some hope, and make that steps forward, right? You will be quite amazed, because I know it's a bit long, but I just want to say that when I was young, okay, this is part of my history, right? I came from a HDB background. I wasn't born in a rich family. I didn't even expect myself to accumulate this amount of wealth, but I just have this very naive thinking that investing, I believe, is going to change my life, and I go all in. I never look back, and I always wanted to be the best, and I hope that. And then life kind of surprised me in a big way, right? I never thought that I'll be financially free early. I wouldn't thought that I'll be a multi-millionaire. Like there are a lot of things that I didn't even foresee, and I wasn't aiming for that. I was just aiming to be good at investing. I was just aiming that in my journey, I hope that I can learn. I hope that I can impact people. And I think I thank God for a lot of opportunities, and I thank God for my gym members, and I also want to be very grateful for even this opportunity, Mark, that you have given to me to share this story. I think it's something to be grateful for. And in life, create your own story and be grateful for things that are around you.
Oh, hey, thanks, Kelvin, for so much for sharing, man. I think you've been huge blessing to this space, right, of helping folks to turn them full-time investors, right? A lot of success stories, a lot of people in the community, right, are so thankful to you and John, you guys have done, right? And hey, I think it was a great interview. I think a lot of people got benefits from it, and if they would like to join you further in this journey, that'd be great. If not, that's fine as well, right? You do you, right, and do what you do best, right? With that, thanks so much, Kelvin. Thanks, folks, for tuning in, all 70 of you on Instagram, all 20, 30 of you on Facebook, right? We'll see you guys very soon, right? Let us know your biggest takeaways in the comments, right? Share on stories, right? And who knows, we might reach out to you as well. Right, with that, thanks, Kelvin, again, right? See you guys. Have a great afternoon ahead, right? Take care and see you all soon.